Well, welcome to Hanging Out on Monday nights. We've got Buddy in Chicago. We've got Jay in Torrance.
Right off the 405.
Yeah, we've got the freeway back there, live cam. And we've got Kevin in Ohio. Hoia, Ohio. That's how you say it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ohio.
We're just a nutty state.
A Buckeye state.
Rick Derringer called. He wants that thing back.
Okay. Question for the panel tonight. What is the time to buy or replace your gear?
Right before it breaks.
Right before it breaks. Just take it right to until it's absolute mechanical obsolescence and then pull the trigger.
No, that's actually a great question.
Yeah.
Because I think we as DJs, and I will certainly include myself in this category, when it works, you just keep using it.
Yeah.
There's no end in sight. And I think the most delicate piece of the puzzle tends to be the speakers, because they tend not to just start to go.
The powered stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, everything sounds great, and then it doesn't.
Right.
Like, I've never blown a controller or a CD player, but I've blown a couple speakers. And I treat speakers like headlights. If the left one goes out,
you can replace them both.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've always done.
When do you replace DJ gear, buddy?
See, it's kind of that's not bad. It's kind of a loaded question a little bit because, yeah, I understand the part of keeping it till the wheels fall off, but you have to look at what is the life of a speaker, a light, a controller, and how long that cycle is.
Right.
I try to replace stuff basically like speakers every 5 to 8 years because, again, going out, getting on gigs, getting beat up, getting knocked around.
Yeah.
How many repairs have I had on an item? If I have to take an item and repair multiple times, it's time to replace it. I've been replaced beforehand. Controllers, I have an XZ, but I still have an SX2. I still got CDJs. I still have them, the reserves, but the XZ is the main one. Will I replace the XZ? Yes, I will eventually. But it's like anything else. They're not cheap items. When you're spending $2,200, $2,500, $5,000 for a set of speakers, you want stuff to last as long as possible. But that's one of the things when you're doing it, and I think you talked about this before, every time the item goes out, you're kind of like renting it and you're getting a depreciation on it. And that's the thing I look at. How long is that depreciation for? Now, the government, when you do taxes, is usually 5 years to depreciate something. You can do up to 5 years. You want a little bit longer than that. Hey, fine and great to recover. But any good person is also looking at what is the next hot item to have in your inventory and your items.
Yeah, that's kind of part two.
But it's like anything else you look at. Again, I look at 5 to 8 years on most things. And again, if I need to replace something sooner, not a problem. Like I'm waiting for, to see what's coming out for certain manufacturers. Is there anything new products coming out? We just had NAMM. Right. Is anything else coming out that's new that replaces what I have now? That's a updated item. Is it better than what I have now? Then you got to make the decision.
That's a big question too. Is it better?
Yeah,
not always better.
Or is it worse?
Not always better. How about you, Kev? When do you replace stuff?
Well, I don't really have a hard and fast time frame like Buddy seems to indicate. Mine is more like, do I have something that I'm looking at that will fit in a slot that I don't have currently, or is it something that's better than I currently have?
Yeah.
And then I go from there. And then for me, financially, if I can find a deal, I might pull the trigger when otherwise I wouldn't.
Sure.
That's what happened this winter. I made some investments. I run across some deals on some RCF product, and so I pulled the trigger on it. So,
you were in the market, but there it was, and hey, let's go.
I mean, it's like I couldn't see any way that it would be that low a price other than just physically going in and leave a little dollar behind. So
you're like me. I'm opportunistic on things.
Yeah, and so that's the way I roll. Now, as far as beyond that, I think I'm pretty set. I did have some holes in. I did some sound reinforcement for a 3-piece girl band or girl group. So I didn't really have the perfect monitor speakers. So I had to sort of make do. So that was sort of on my, if I come across the deal, I'm going to pull the trigger on that. So if I have to do that kind of situation again, I'm ready to roll then. So I keep a list on my phone of just things I'm interested in buying, and again, opportunistic with a good deal. I'll go, yeah, I'll pull the trigger on that. So that's how I tend to roll.
I think I should be clear. I'm not talking about adding on to your system. I'm talking about your meat and potato stuff, your speakers, your mixing board, your controller, your computer, your microphone. Those meat and potatoes kind of things is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, if you want to go out and buy, I don't know, confetti cannons, that's different. I'm not talking about chocolate fountains or bouncy houses. I'm talking about speakers and controllers.
Yeah, that's expanding your portfolio.
That's expanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of with Buddy on this in a way where if I've got something that's been out there and seen a lot of use over the last 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, it just feels like the responsible thing to do to go ahead and retire it, so I don't get any surprises on the road. But part 2 of my question was this, and this is where I think it gets interesting, and I can tell stories about this that I've seen recently. Let's say, for instance, it's time to upgrade your speakers. You've been running the same speakers for 8, 9, 10 years. And it's time to upgrade your speakers, or it's time to replace your speakers. Do you go with some new tech at that point, or do you go with what you know and trust and it's familiar to you? The example I'm going to give is there's a local guy who was running Mackie Thumps for a long time. And he decided it was time to do something a little better than Mackie Thumps, get a little worried about them. They're getting a little long in the tooth. So he buys QSC K12s. Doesn't even look at a column array. And he's doing wedding receptions of 100, 150 people. But he doesn't even consider looking at the column array because he trusts two-way top cabinets. That's what he's going to go with. And he doesn't want to throw money out there that he's not sure he needs to spend. So there we go. When it's time to replace, do we upgrade or do we try to go with a rather linear replacement piece? Mr. Brannon.
When I blew out one of my Yamahas in 2010, then that was a Saturday. I had a backup speaker, did the gig, all was good. Monday, I went and bought a pair of 15-inch JBL PRX 615s because I wanted two-way tops without a sub.
Right.
I used those two speakers 5 months ago at an event, and they were still great. They're in bags. They're in great shape. But with technology, my main speakers are EV Evolve 50s.
Right.
And now I'm seriously looking at upgrading them to the 70s.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, because I'm going to get more out of the 70s, and I love the 50s, or I'm going to buy one Evolve EV 70 and put it in the middle. So I'd have 3 speakers.
Yeah.
And that would just change the dynamics of bigger events. The problem is I question if I need to because I don't have a lot of big events this year.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at a new laptop to back up the one I'm on right now. And the technology is what's driving the impulse.
Yeah. Well, the tech
because the prices aren't high, but the technology is.
Right.
It's, do you spend $1,000 to get something behind what you have that will last you another X number of years? I think the technology has to be the driving force because what you bought 10 years ago has been changed.
Agreed.
It's been upgraded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. The speakers today are much different than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's it's a do you need it versus do you want it.
It just, to me, feels like a really good opportunity to try something else.
Well, it
Especially,
does, but
you know.
do you need it for what you're doing? If you tell me you have 50 weddings this year, that's awesome, and none of them go over 150 people, well, that's a buying decision. You don't need to get this, 4 subs and 4 tops. You just don't.
Something that yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to be, and when I got the Evolve 50s 5 years ago, I don't even think they've been touched, and I've used them a lot, but I view them as rock solid.
Yeah.
Like,
mine too. Yeah. I've had
I
mine.
have no interest in upgrading those speakers, but when I heard the 70s, it was an opportunity listening. And what I mean by that is I thought, wow, I can now tap into events that I can't do with 250s.
Right.
I could do with like, I've heard them in person. I swear to you, as much as I love the 50s, the 70s are like having 4 50s.
Yeah.
They're crazy loud. They're super deep bass. So again, do I look at the opportunity and say, I'm going to upgrade because I'm going to go after this market? Or if I stay where I am, I'm in a great spot. I don't need to upgrade.
Something that I like to do is try to make, when I do get new equipment, it's time to do that. I try to do things that make my life easier as well. That's
Right.
a big one. If it's easier to set up, easier to carry, easier to program, easier to troubleshoot, I'm all over that. If it makes my life easier, that's what I want. But if you have no problem setting up tripods in 2 ways at every gig, you say, well, I don't have a problem doing this. But boy, the arrays are a lot easier. Even at that, saves you a little bit of time. But yeah, whatever, all to their own. It's just funny to me that some people just go with the thing. I kind of get it, though. I mean, they're spending money on this stuff. I've had the liberty or the privilege of having a lot of demo equipment, so I can try things and see what I think of them. Not everybody has that, and I get it. It's not like everybody can just go to the corner store and check this stuff out anymore, because stores don't exist like that anymore. Let's say you, buddy.
As far as your friend saying, hey, I'm going to get basically the same thing, a 2-way cabinet, put it on a stick, maybe a subwoofer or 2, get newer equipment.
Yeah, 2, by the way.
Some people want to do that, and they want to stick in their same, where their comfort zone is. They want to stick in that same area.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that, but I feel that as a business owner, as a DJ, and someone who wants to take care of the customers, and I've said this plenty of times, you need to have more than one tool.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of like saying, I'm going to stick in this area only, you may be doing a disservice to customers. And looking at an array is sound at a different level, and it does things differently than a 2-way cabinet. There's pros and cons to both sides. 2-way cabinet versus an array.
Yeah, the array, the compact array, or the compact loudspeaker, array loudspeaker, what do you want to call it, doesn't have the same properties as a 2-way top. And sometimes a 2-way top is what you want, depending on the job you're doing.
Yeah. It's having that right tool for the job. Yeah. And the thing is that I will tell any DJ, would it be, again, you and I, we talk about this, and everyone else here talks about this in the chill room, but if I was talking to another DJ in the street, and they were like, hey, I love XYZ top and XYZ sub, and I started talking about, how I use arrays and stuff like that, and they dismiss it, I'd be like, have you tried one? Have you even listened to it? Have you heard it? Go listen to it. Give it a chance. Try it. Yeah. Again, it's not end all be all.
Yeah.
But it's not this bad thing. Some DJs have this thought in their mind like it's a horrible thing. But the technology is really cool once you get used to it. And again, I've been using arrays since 2012.
Sure.
So it's one of the things that I've been using for a long time. And EV, as a manufacturer, to put a lot of technology into the new 70, 90, but the 50 and 30 still have a lot of technology in it.
Yeah.
And they do tons of great stuff with it. There's tons of manufacturers out there have great products. But again, you have to do what's best for you. But just because something's new doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Try it out. It's like, have you tried this cake before? Have you tried this, sandwich before? If you don't, stuff on here you don't like it, fine, great. But did you try it at least? Did you see if you really don't like that?
Yeah, how do you know you hate chocolate if you're only eating vanilla? I mean, how do you know? You've only had one flavor of ice cream. How do you know you don't like other flavors? You never tried them.
That's the thing. You only want vanilla. The only thing you want to buy is vanilla.
That's all you've ever had.
Yeah.
You're afraid
but
of
the thing is,
change,
there's other flavors out there. There's chocolate, and there's so forth, so on. And it's kind of the same thing. I would definitely recommend anyone, if they get a chance to go to a retailer, there's plenty of great retailers, including one of our sponsors, a great retailer. Mm-hmm. And for them to go to one of our sponsors, go to one of the companies that deals with that, and hey, I want to go listen to this. I want to compare this to this. And what do you have now? Can you compare what you have now, what they have there set up, to what the next item is? Is it an array set up the same as a two-way? Take a look at it. It's not a bad thing. What's it cost you? A little bit of time, and you get educated. You learn something. Then you had this thought in your mind, like, hey, I don't have to worry about that. I know exactly what it sounds like. I like it, or hey, it's not for me. No problem. But at least try it.
Sure. But by the way, we are sponsored tonight by DJ Event Planner. Have a look at DJ Event Planner in the description of this video on YouTube. Thank you, DJ Event Planner, for being one of our channel sponsors. We have several, so check them out. I was talking to, I wasn't. Somebody left a comment on one of my videos where I was talking about this gear thing. Somebody said, I have a DDJ 800. Should I replace it? Because there's new stuff out.
No.
I think it's a nice piece, personally. I mean, that gets a little gearheady for me. If you feel like you have to replace it just because there's something new out, it's kind of like people get in line for the new iPhone.
You replace it because there's something new that you need, not something new that's there.
Yeah, just because it's new.
You stems? Are you like a stems crazy DJ? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, look at the Flex 10. Yeah. It has all these stem buttons and the ability to do stem effects and this and that. But if that's not what you're doing, then the 800 does what you need it to do. Well, I have people all the time hit me up that are like, I'm using this piece that we made as a manufacturer in 2008, 2009, 2010, and it's working great. Should I replace it? I think you already answered your own question.
Sure.
You're 17 years into the game. It's working.
It's working, yeah.
But
for how long?
and this is a weird thing. I'm driving a 26-year-old car, right? 8-year-old car, an 18-year-old car. I don't drive them thinking it's old. It might just stop. Right. Because I know that a brand new car could stop too.
Well, that's so very different. You've done your research on that,
right? But I look at it from the perspective of this is working great, no issues. Gear is the same thing. If the gear does what you need it to do, then you're fine. Now, I say that with one caveat, and that is always have a backup. Now, the backup should be better than the gear. Like, I have this machine I'm talking to you on right now. When I get a backup PC laptop for this, it will be newer than this.
Right.
So if you're using a DDJ 800 and you think, do I need to replace it? No. But if you go buy a DDJ Rev 5 as a backup, that's a newer piece. So maybe you should view it from the perspective of, I think this is getting old. I want a backup, but the backup should be newer because it will be.
I've done that before.
You know what I mean? And it's where you will eventually.
It depends on the piece, but I've done that before. I've done with computers.
Controllers are plastic boxes with things in them that control laptops. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot to go wrong.
Right. Yeah. It runs.
That's the reality. It just does what it does. If it starts to cut out on you, my attitude at a gig is if anything doesn't work, it gets replaced.
Well, you know what blew my mind, Jay, now that we're talking about this? And I'm not trying to skip over you, Kevin. We'll go back to you. But our friend Bill, he's just getting out of CDs now.
Right.
And so he's considering bypassing the laptop altogether and going to all-in-one controller, which is probably a smart move.
For what he's doing,
For what he's doing, yeah.
Yeah. Because he'll replace CDs with a flash drive or a hard drive.
Right.
But all-in-ones allow you to use a laptop at some point.
Sure, yeah, he can use
So
that.
you can go backwards. He could be like, hey, I took all my CDs, put them on a hard drive. Here I am.
But think about a guy.
I need to.
I mean, that was you. That was you, what? Probably 13, 14
2011.
years ago? Yeah, you were using CD too.
Oh, I
thought you were the last one alive.
I thought I was too.
And we found Bill in the wild, like the last dodo bird. It's like, where did this guy come from?
No, I was the old-fashioned
CDs.
big time. Well, because it worked. I didn't see the point of replacing what worked. And
Right.
the weakest link in the chain then, 17 years ago, was the laptop. Well, that's all changed. I mean, whether it's a Mac or a PC, they're much different today. They're much faster. They're much more reliable.
Sure.
They weren't back in 2008, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Laptops were still kind of, I don't know. I can't really trust this.
Well, here's what I was thinking about with Bill specifically, because we're all of a certain age, right? And
20s,
yeah, 20s.
something.
John, who's not with us tonight, was talking about aging DJs. And he was talking about how they look kind of out there to clients and such.
See, this is wrong, Brian. It's making fun of Asian DJs. This is exactly what I'm trying to fight, because you can't just
hear me out. Hear me out about the aging.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Asian.
Hear me out.
Okay, my bad.
Here's what I'm thinking. If someone our age, Kevin, Buddy, you, me, whatever, were to go out with DJ equipment from the 1990s, that might look a little funny.
You mean like turntables?
I mean like carpeted speakers. And,
what about turntables?
Well, turntables are now integrated into the Serato and the VDJ for the DVS stuff.
Right, but aren't they still old gear?
It's cool old gear, though.
But it's old gear.
But what I'm saying is, if we're trying to look contemporary and we're going out with things that are older than our clients,
right,
that might look a little not contemporary to them, wouldn't you say?
100%. I saw a thing on Instagram that you guys probably saw today, and it was a DJ in the U.S. who has a wireless system. And he was showing it by spinning it around.
I saw that, yeah.
On the dance floor.
In a suit. It looked like he was demoing something else other than the DJ equipment. But yeah, I saw that video.
100%. And I looked at it, and it got on my radar from a bunch of people coming to me with, have you seen this? And I looked at it, and I said, oh, that's pretty cool, for about 3 seconds. And then I thought, you know what? I've spent my entire career trying to keep my gear away from drinks, drunks,
yeah, right.
The 3 Ds, drinks, drunks, and dancers. Why would I want to push my gear out into the middle of the floor? And
why would you want to wear a suit to a wedding? I mean, that's the question you can ask yourself.
Well, that too. But then they brought up, but look, it's all wireless, including the speakers. And I said, I've used a wireless satellite speaker or ceremony cocktail speaker since October of 24. But my main speakers are always wired. I don't trust signals dropping out in a room to main speakers. So a non-DJ looked at it and said, this is so cool, look at this. And I said, no, not really. Because
I mean, it's not uncool. It's cool.
No. It's cool, but it's cool in a weird way. And again, it's cool on cutting technology of, look,
Yeah.
everything's wireless.
I think, yeah.
But I think you'd agree with me. I want my mains to be plugged in.
I think
I
that
disagree with you. I gotta disagree. with you.
yeah, I agree. But we're talking about extremes here. I mean,
No, we are.
That's
I'm just
Star
saying.
Trek stuff no one's ever seen before, including D-Day.
Exactly. But there's a point where it doesn't make sense for what we do.
Right. Well, what I'm talking about is
trunks dancers.
it's just going out there with equipment older than our clients versus going out there with something maybe a little more contemporary, maybe doing things a little different than they've seen before. At our age, probably goes a lot. It probably serves us well. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree with that, but it's funny that you say it that way because I have turntables now and I'm looking to integrate them because they're old technology that as an old DJ would make me look young.
Well, you're using it with a laptop. It's different. It's
Well,
not.
I am, but I
If
think
you
it's
weren't using it with a laptop and you had a box of 45, it would be a little different.
I think I'd look even older
Yes.
because then people would realize he doesn't have everything. He only has what he's able to get.
Yeah.
Is it a
What do you say,
bad
Kevin?
thing?
What do you say about all this?
Well, a lot of it goes to the everything old is new again. You know, like fashion. You know, some of that, especially in the turntables and that kind of stuff. So that can be, you know, everything is new again kind of situation.
Yeah.
So,
Really, dude?
like,
Fashion? You brought up fashion with this four Motley Crew? Come on.
hey, whatever.
Come on.
Thank you.
As far as gear, new,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everybody. I won't stand up for mine. I've been working on.
Lower East Side Brian's rocking Bowie.
Yeah. So, but I love the new technology that comes out, and I'm always interested in it because, like Brian said, convenience, quick, and compact and fit in my space. So some new gadget comes out, it's like, oh, I can make that fit and have more space for, you know, I don't need a van, I don't need a trailer, I don't need to make 2 trips, you know.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. You know, I do have to work within the budget that I have and make sure it's financially responsible for me. Also, back to the changing gear. Buddy probably uses his gear a lot harder and more often than I do. So my gear doesn't hit his threshold hour-wise or usage-wise like mine. So that plays a part too.
I like the whole Daft Punk harder, better, faster, stronger, but I would add smaller and lighter weight to that equation because that's my jam right there. If it works just as well, not better than what I had before, but it weighs less and it's smaller. Wow. Okay.
But that's the biggest thing we get at shows from the mainstream DJs that are getting older. They want smaller, they want lighter. And I totally understand that. And the sales prove it because there are pieces that you look at and go, I don't know. And it's like, wow, this is super popular. Well, because it does everything you need and it weighs half of what you had.
Yeah.
And it costs a little bit less than what you expected to spend. Now you're happy.
I'll add this. When I have gone with smaller pieces, it's been good for me because I haven't had to carry as much around. It fits in the vehicle. But then there's these really cool byproducts that you discover later on. Like, you know what? My footprint at this event isn't as obnoxious as it used to be because it's more compact. So now I can kind of blend in better, which is what I want to do. I don't want to be, top hat and a cane guy. That's not who I want to be. I want to be there facilitating an event, but I don't want to be the main attraction. You can't help it. You got to bring stuff. But the more inconspicuous you can be, I think, the better. In the smaller footprint is helpful in that regard, I believe.
I got a venue where they like, oh, I love that little footprint you got there with that column speaker.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on my preferred, and I'm also very detail oriented and she liked that. So it was a combination. Also, you were going back to the furry speakers of the olden days.
Yeah.
If you go a lot of times just going with the contemporary new design, that column speaker, that makes you look hip. You're contemporary.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
So that's,
I don't think anybody over the age of 50 has any business going out to a 150-person wedding with two-way top cabinets. I said it. But, yeah, if you come out with something...
Internet is on fire.
Yeah, internet's on fire. I broke it. They're
Well,
all mad at me.
I said I use the Evolve 50s. I know for a fact I can do an event up to 500 people with that. Second fire breaks out.
And on that note, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys so much. If you've got an opinion on this, we'd love to hear it. Put it in the comment section of this video